Good morning. Welcome to the beloved community known as UU Amherst. I'm Amy Malachowski, and I'm a member of the worship design team. Our minister, Reverend Michelle Buheit, is on study leave this week. We are pleased to welcome our guest speaker, Julie Taylor, to our pulpit. We are a community of many ages and stages of life. We have assistive hearing devices at the usher's station and childcare and activities all at the back of the chapel. If at any time you are having difficulty hearing or staying present in the service, feel free to move closer to the front. There's always plenty of seating up front. Children and youth are invited to leave following the labyrinth meditation to have some multi-age fun and values building and return for the last song and announcement. For those gathered in the chapel, I urge you to either place your phone on airplane mode or to turn it off completely to free up web bandwidth for the live stream. Please do so now. And now let's do what we do best, and that is to welcome one another into this time made sacred by our presence together. It is our custom when we gather together to light a chalice. The chalice is a cup or vessel that symbolizes the gathered community. The flame represents the spark that each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. Please join me in our chalice lighting words as Kate lights the flame. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Each week, as we light the chalice to symbolize the gathered community, we also acknowledge that our church is built on holy ground, ground that was first cultivated and occupied by the Haudenosaunee and those known as the Neutrals. We offer this libation as our giveaway, a symbol of our respect for and deep connection with the land. Our song of intention this morning is found in the gray hymnal number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing. You may be seated. We are a beloved community, a gathering of people who have chosen to journey together, to encourage one another, and to be part of something important and life-changing. Because we aspire to be such a people, we make bold promises about how we will be with one another. Whether today is your first time or you've made UU Amherst your longtime home, you are invited to share in our sacred promise. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world. Our guest speaker today, Julie Taylor, is a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo, where she volunteers as a worship associate, supporting the worship hour and occasionally delivering sermons. She has been a UU since 1994 when she walked into her first UU church, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Hamburg, and found a spiritual home that she continued in the Buffalo church. She has taught religious education, served on the Nominating Committee, the Personnel Committee, and the Board of Trustees. Her current passion is spreading a spiritual message for Unitarian Universalists. She lives in North Buffalo with her husband, 3 children, and way too many grandcats. She will now present the Time for All Ages.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you so much, everyone, for inviting me into your beautiful sanctuary. I have to tell you, this is unparalleled, the view that you get every Sunday morning. What I would like to do today is to tell you a story off the top of my head, so please bear with me. But first I want to stress that this is a true story. So this is not going to start with once upon a time, because this actually happened. So let's get into it. Many years ago, there were 3 dragons. There was a red dragon, a blue dragon, and the most fiercest of all the dragons, the green dragon. And they were all very good friends, and they lived together and worked together in their village, okay? But what do dragons do? Dragons are pretty much famous for a couple of things. They breathe fire, right? And dragons also are hoarders. They hoard treasure, right? And they also have been known on occasion to gobble people up. Dragons can be very dangerous. I'm sure we can all agree. And so the village was a little bit put off by these dragons, and they decided, you have a couple of options with dragons. You could slay dragons. That's a lot of work, right? And, quite honestly, there's too much work to be done in other better areas. So what if we tamed the dragons? So the villagers selected people to go and tame their dragons. And so the first dragon, the blue dragon, was actually the easiest to tame. The treasure that she hoarded was gold. All the piles and piles of gold. But what happens when one person in the village hoards all the gold? There's no fun. The roads get bad, the bridges are bad, the snow doesn't get plowed. There's a lot of bad things that happen. There's no parties and celebrations. But one day, one of the villagers went and tamed the blue dragon, and the blue dragon became more generous with her piles and piles of gold. Then there's the red dragon. And this is the thing. I know this is a true story because I was the villager who was selected to tame the red dragon. Now the red dragon, what her treasure was stories. She was a very old and wise dragon, and she knew all the information of the village. She was the historian, and you know what? When somebody hoards all the information, it means that the people tend to be less happy. If you think about it, that's why we have education. So I spent a lot of time with the red dragon, listening to her stories, writing them down, taking the information, and disseminating it to the other villagers. And they were very happy indeed, because now we had parties from the blue dragon, and we had good information and education from the red dragon. Life was getting very good. But there's that green dragon. The green dragon being the most ferocious of them all. Could the green dragon be tamed? I don't know. But one day, the littlest of all the villagers decided, I can do it. And so what she did is, it happened to be the green dragon's birthday. And so she went and she said, you know something? Acting with kindness, acting with love is what will tame this dragon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and buy a birthday cake for the green dragon. So she went out to Tops Friendly Markets and she got a beautiful birthday cake. Well, when it was time for the celebration to happen, the green dragon was very angry. You see, the green dragon felt that this compromised some of her power. And so she thought that in return. And she was very angry that day when we cut the birthday cake. We tried to sing happy birthday. And she took the cake, and I took my piece of cake, and I started walking away from the birthday cake of bitterness. Did anybody ever try to tame the green dragon again after that? It might be, they might have. The littlest of all the villagers may have gotten gobbled up. I'm not quite sure. Haven't really seen her. But what I do know is that the following year, I said, I'm going to buy a box of green tea and I'm going to leave it for the green dragon and so that she can live forever. And I did not tell anybody that I did so, because who knows if I would have gotten gobbled up. This is the end of the story. It will make more sense with the sermon. Thank you.
Each week, we bring our whole selves into the sacred time, our joys, concerns, and sorrows. The table where we gather is at the center of the space, a symbol for the community that is the heart of UU Amherst. I invite you to come forward and place a stone or shell on the table labyrinth in recognition of all that you bring and all that you are. May we remember that we are called to heal and bring love to the broken places. Please remain seated for our meditation and song, number 123 in the gray hymnal, Spirit of Life. Children and youth may be excused to their programming as we sing. And now Julie will present our reading.
Today's reading is called The Butterfly Effect, and it's written by Dana Capasso. The delicate flapping wings of a butterfly have the power to set molecules of air in motion, in turn moving more molecules of air. A tiny act that is eventually capable of affecting weather patterns on the other side of the planet. This notion comes from the concept within chaos theory called the butterfly effect. Simply, the The butterfly effect refers to a phenomenon in our world in which a small change in one place can result in equal or greater changes elsewhere. This may seem crazy. A tiny butterfly changing global weather patterns. Not only is the butterfly effect a real scientific theory, but it's also an intriguing philosophical idea. I say this because the butterfly effect affects the way I live my life and the decisions that I make in a way that no ideas about God have ever. I am no meteorologist, nor am I well versed in entomology, but ever since learning about the butterfly effect, I have been attracted to it because it demonstrates an important principle that is often forgotten. Namely, each of our actions has effects that are more profound than we think. Interconnection is a major theme found in nearly all the world's religious and philosophical traditions. The interconnectedness of our universe is also one of the most significant revelations of physics. All components of matter are interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote our responsibility to remain aware of interconnection through our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence. Attention to interconnectivity reminds me, despite the many socio-political forces that work to divide us from one another, that I am never alone in this world. It reminds me that each decision or action I make has reactions, and that those reactions reverberate as waves moving back and forth across our globe. This compels me to live my life aware of the consequences of my daily actions, from the purchases I make to personal interactions with others. I certainly do not always succeed, but I try. My awareness of interconnectivity and efforts to work against the illusion of division remain my most significant spiritual practice. This spiritual practice also gives me the ability to stand in awe of interconnection, the power that comes with it. On rare occasions, I am reminded to stop and appreciate the divinity of interconnectivity revealed before my very eyes. To me, this is awe-inspiring. To me, this is divine. Those were the words of Dana Capasso, called The Butterfly Effect. So with that, I want to ask you, have you ever watched a show called The Good Place? Yeah, some of you have. If you haven't seen it before, it is really worth a watch, and it's currently on Netflix still. It'll probably go away at some point, like everything does on Netflix. The Good Place is about 4 humans who die and then wake up in the afterlife. They are greeted by the neighborhood architect, Michael, played by Ted Danson, and they are told they are in the good place, basically heaven. One of the 4 humans, Eleanor Shellstrop, realizes right away that there has been a mistake, and she is not the same Eleanor Shell, saying there had been a mistake, thus sending her to the bad place, hell. She decides to learn how to become a good person, how to truly deserve a place in the good afterlife. She contacts one of the other humans, Chidi Anagonye, and asks for ethics lessons. Chidi, a former professor of ethics and moral philosophy on Earth, starts to teach Eleanor and the other humans how to live an ethical and moral life. They explore David Hume and Immanuel Kant and Kierkegaard. The Good Place makes being a nerd cool. It takes philosophy, classes that I was forced to take in college, much to my dismay, and make geeky all chicy. It makes me want to ask the big questions of the universe. What does it mean to be good? What is a good act? Does it matter to live a life of intention? Do motivations matter? And what if we get it wrong? In one episode, Chidi explores the trolley problem. The trolley problem is a thought experiment proposed by Philippa Foot in 1967. And before you think I'm all smart and all, I learned that from The Good Place, not the 3 philosophy classes I was forced to take in college. As a thought experiment, it's only supposed to be a theory, not something that's put into reality. And it goes like this. You see a trolley careening down a street. In front of the trolley, there are 5 workers on the tracks. They cannot hear or see the trolley for whatever reason, and they cannot be warned, and they are not moving off the track. The trolley will surely hit and kill them. However, there is a switch that will divert the trolley to a secondary track. On the secondary track is 1 worker who can neither hear nor see the trolley and will not move out of the way. You have the ability to control the switch. What do you do? Do you do nothing and let the trolley continue to careen toward the 5 workers, resulting in their deaths, or do you intentionally switch the tracks, an action that will result in killing only 1 person rather than the 5? What do you do? Typically, around 90% of respondents will say the right and ethical thing to do is to switch the tracks and kill only 1 person rather than the 5. For the most part, the participants surmise that it is better that only 1 person dies and not 5. So obviously, we would switch the tracks. But this is a thought experiment. It doesn't happen in real life. We can't replicate this, considering how horrible the consequences would be. But still, don't you wonder? What would people do? Would people in real life make the same decisions? Enter the internet. So in 2017, a YouTuber named Michael Stevens decided to move the trolley problem from theory to reality. This was a difficult task from an ethical perspective. In order to do this experiment, the participants had to actually believe that their actions would result in the deaths of the people on the tracks. First, he gathered people to participate by providing a false objective of the experiment. They did not know what the true nature of the experiment was, but they had to pass a psychological screening so that he could select out people who had a propensity to experience trauma. He also provided counseling after the experiment. Next, he set up a railroad switching station where an actor sat in a room and watched video feeds of various tracks and trains. His job was to monitor the tracks and, if necessary, switch trains to different tracks. He taught the participants about switching the trains and tracks. He showed them how to switch the tracks, and he gave them parameters on why he switches the tracks. He even has them switch a train themselves. Then he gets an emergency phone call and leaves the room. The participant then sits and watches as workers move to stand on the tracks. 5 on the track that the train is on, 1 on the train that the track that the train can be switched to. For whatever reason, the workers are unaware that the train is approaching them. The participant is warned that the train is coming. The participant has been trained to switch the track. What are the odds that the participant flips the switch and redirects the train to the secondary track with only 1 worker? Now remember, when people are asked this question on a survey where the problem is only theoretical, 90% of people say they would flip the switch and divert the train. But when the thought experiment went to real life situation, only 2 of the 7 participants switched the train to the track where only 1 person would be killed. And one of the people who switched the train was clearly traumatized by the decision he just made. So why didn't people in the real world scenario switch the tracks? The participants responded with a variety of reasons. I assumed someone else would take action. I didn't want the power. It's not my responsibility. I don't want to choose between 2 people I was terrified. In this situation, it was a gamble for the participants to switch the tracks. The participants were more comfortable with not taking any action, more comfortable not playing the game, more comfortable not living with intention than with taking the risk and gambling with the lives of people. In the real-life trolley problem, there is a lot at stake when making the decision. The participants believed that lives would be lost, but most chose to let the events play out, to let the outcomes be at the discretion of the universe. Although people tend to tell themselves the story that they would be courageous, they would be the one who can make hard choices in the moment of truth, it seems that living with intention when so much is on the line may not be realistic. Now, most of us don't gamble with life and death choices every day. I, for one, am glad I do not. Still, there are choices that we make each and every day that have consequences, like the butterfly effect. Our choices ripple out into the interconnected universe. Seemingly insignificant, each choice we make has consequences, mostly that we can never know or understand. But as part of the interdependent web of life, those choices resonate on and on across the universe. And those choices are what may or may not bend the moral arc of the universe towards justice. But isn't it all random and chaotic? Is there such a thing as a moral arc? Or was that the fantasy of 19th century Unitarian minister and staunch abolitionist Theodore Parker? Did Dr. King then embed that fantasy into the minds of a generation of civil rights activists in the 1960s? Did President Obama weave the quote of the moral arc of the universe bending toward justice into the rug of the Oval Office because he was sold a 150-year-old lie? I don't think so. I think the beating of our butterfly wings and what seems to be random chaos are what actually bend the arc of the universe toward justice. And then the deciding factor is living a life of intention based in infinite love. The life choices on living with intention are not trolley problems, but they are all around us. You're waiting for a train in downtown Buffalo after work. A woman, clearly impaired, approaches you and asking you if the train you're getting on goes to the Code Blue shelter. Do you buy her train ticket and make sure she gets to the shelter that day? You want to show the dragon you most admire and respect kindness on her birthday. Do you buy the birthday cake of bitterness even though you know you might be gobbled up? A drunk and stoned kid breaks into your house on a wickedly cold February night. Perhaps you have a pistol permit. Does the kid live or die that night? Or maybe it's the basic everyday, as simple as giving voice to your heart and telling someone, I love you, even when you face the bitter agony of rejection. These are our daily gambles. It's not a trolley problem, but our actions can be just as important as switching the tracks of a runaway train. When confronted with the true awe of the interdependent web of the universe, it can lead to paralysis. What if I make the wrong choice? What if, in this moment that matters, I get it wrong? What if I get it so wrong that I put harm into the interdependent web? What if I switch the tracks and the lone person on the track that was the one person who would bend the moral arc of the universe toward justice? What if I get the impaired woman to the Cold Blue shelter and give her my last 20, and this is what enables her to get that hit that leads to overdose and death? What if I take the risk, take the gamble, and my words spoken with bravest fire are what wound the vulnerable? Truly, I am paralyzed when I contemplate how my little wing flutter could twist the moral arc of the universe away from justice. I am paralyzed like I was when I could not speak in defense of the littlest of all the villagers when an act of kindness inspired the wrath of the green dragon. I remember several years ago waking up to a terrible pounding on my front porch. When I went to investigate, I found the errant cat walking back and forth next to a broken window on my enclosed front porch on a frigid February morning. Blaming the cat, I turned and saw a strange, still figure sitting silently on my couch. I lost it. I started screaming, 911! I dialed 911 on the phone in my shaking hand and incoherently said there was a man not moving on my porch, and in true Buffalo fashion, the fire truck came first, then the ambulance, then the police. I was paralyzed with terror, and for whatever reason, my husband walked past me, sat down on the chair next to the still figure, and touched his knee. My husband determined it was a kid, probably 15 or 16 years old, drunk, stoned, freezing, and near passed out on my couch. "Hey, what are you doing?" my husband asks. "No one understands," the kid mumbles. "Why are you here?" "I knew you would understand. The kid can barely keep consciousness." And then the most compassionate thing I've ever heard spoken in my life came out of my husband's mouth. "Are you hungry? Do you want a sandwich?" And all I could think of was whether we had bread in the house and what on earth I would make a sandwich from. When all was said and done, the cross-faded kid was placed in an ambulance. The cops left without a police report from us. The firefighters made sure no one was hiding in our cellar, and we went back to living our lives, wondering who that kid was who thought we might understand. The reason we stand paralyzed is because acting from a place of infinite love is terrifying when we don't practice it every day. Infinite love makes us vulnerable. Infinite love is what bends the moral arc of the universe towards justice. Infinite love is what turns the beating butterfly wing from chaos to living with intention. You see, I want to be the person who is filled with goodwill. I want to be the person who feeds the green dragon a birthday cake, even knowing I might be gobbled up. I want to be the person who feeds the stoned kid a sandwich. I want to be the person who helps bend the moral arc of the universe towards justice. And I also believe that all people can and should take actions to influence the arc of the moral universe through filling themselves with infinite love. That all people need to choose the track their trolley takes based on infinite love. Side note, that, my friends, is infinite love right there in your labyrinth. Just saying. Michael, the architect of the good place, finds the answer to the trolley problem while fleeing demons who are chasing the humans. The answer to the trolley problem was to sacrifice himself to the demons in order to save Eleanor and the humans. The answer to the trolley problem, Eleanor Shellstrop, knowing that she doesn't belong in the good place, takes the gamble several times to ask Chini Anagonye, an expert in ethics and morals, to help her become a good person. Chidi helps her every time. Every single time, Chidi takes the gamble to help Eleanor become a better person. Chidi, who is searching for the absolute answer to moral truth, learns the answer by the end of the show. Spoiler alert. There is no answer, he writes on a note to himself. But the answer is Eleanor. Chidi, an indecisive Senegalese philosopher searching for an absolute moral truth worthy of Immanuel Kant, finds that the answer he seeks lies in his infinite love for the most unlikely of persons, Eleanor Shellstrop, a self-described trash bag from Arizona who hoards shrimp and drinks margaritas to oblivion. What the humans of the good place find is that they create their own good place with motivations based in infinite love. They find the divine and the holy in supporting and nurturing each other in their everyday choices. And by practicing every day for millennia, they find the answer to the trolley problem. That, my friends, is infinite love. That, my friends, is the boundlessness that exists in your heart right here, right now. That, my friends, is how the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice for Theodore Parker, for Dr. King, for President Obama, today and tomorrow and hereafter. You see, it ain't no gamble when your heart is in a holy place. So why don't we sing that song? Hymn number 1008 in your teal hymnal.
Trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell a story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. Then our heart is in a holy place. Then our heart is in a holy place. We're out of verses. Blessed love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, then our heart is in a holy place. Sorry, your song leader got confused. And now we will extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Until these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please be seated for a few brief announcements. As our service draws to an end, our service to the world is ready to begin. Let me tell you some of the opportunities to connect and serve in the days to come. Please join us for coffee and conversation immediately following the service. We meet in the Emerson room just through the double doors at the back of the chapel. Next week's service, Attention Must Be Paid by Reverend Michelle. Are you paying attention? Do you feel the tremors of the great turning? A new world is emerging, and it is up to us to bring it to birth. We are the central actors in this drama. And now Randy Kent will share an announcement regarding next week's annual meeting. I feel like I should, riff until you get here.
Well, thank you for not playing Darth Vader's theme as I walked up here. Good morning. I'm Randy Kent, your elected board chair. Next week, Sunday, February 25th at noon, we will be holding our annual meeting. It will be both in person and you can dial in remotely via YouTube. Advanced registration is required for remote participation. This is the congregation's annual business meeting where we vote on a budget for this year. We vote on our contribution to the UUA. There are a couple of bylaw changes that have been recommended that we will be considering and voting on. And of course, we're voting on folks to come onto the board, to come out of the nominating committee, and onto the endowment trust. So naturally, we hope to see you all here either in person or remotely. I'm remiss. The endowment trust has also put up a proposition for the congregation to vote on. So I will just remind you that our current bylaws mandate 50 people in attendance. If we do not get that, both remotely and in person, we conduct no business and we save a lot of money because we can't pay any bills. I have been told that we're not recommending that. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope to see you next week.
As always, see the new church newsletter, The Forward, for information regarding upcoming services and events. Since our return to in-person services following the first wave of the pandemic, we have moved away from passing baskets for the offering during the service. Instead, we invite you to participate in supporting the mission and ministry of UU Amherst with your financial gifts at the end of the service. You'll find a green basket at the back of the chapel to receive your contributions, or you can give online by going to our website, uuamherst.org, and clicking on the giving link, or text your gift to the number on the screen. Your gifts and participation are important because we pick fruit from trees we did not plant. We drink water from wells we did not dig. This is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who come after us. Your generous giving supports the work of this congregation. And now, please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing blessing. Remain standing afterwards for the benediction.
May we swim in the joy of infinite love. May forgiveness visit our hearts. May compassion, may our beating butterfly wings move the universe. Because remember, you are blessed and you are a blessing, and above all else, you are not alone. You are never alone. Blessed be, so be it, and let the church say, Amen.